football fans, boomers. Usually the big feedback at the beginning, but we're going to get better. Welcome to the weekend edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it, this little thing that we do. And today is the three wise old heads or old farts, whichever you prefer. Blackburn George, morning.
Morning.
And you, Ehab, how are you, my friend?
Oh, good. Good morning. Back in Ukraine now.
You're excellent news. That means you're back with your family. You
Yeah.
have to get off. You get off the computer and spend time with your son.
Oh, it's okay.
Have
He's
they given
probably.
you your rifle yet?
What's that?
Have they given you your rifle yet?
No, nothing. Nothing. What's on the news is going on right now. It's the news is different.
Well,
It's still,
go tell the White House press corps this, Mr. Biden. Anyway, guys, I
yeah,
don't do much politics here.
yeah.
Although you might not know it, but I'm a very political animal. But this is a football show,
Hmm.
so guys, today we're going to discuss whether we're at Wage Cut FC or Culture Change FC. And the reason why I did this, and somebody decided to ring me, and I got to get rid of them. I'm going to take the ring off my phone. I don't know why they would do that, but and they're off. Yes, you know, I'm going to set this up by just reprising what came to my attention as I prepared for this podcast. Ever since 2017 to my recollection, when the Kroenkes took over 100%, when they bought out Usmanov, there has been they began to talk to ease Wenger out, as they ease Wenger out, about the need for a culture change. It was not very great. It was that he was not, it was past his prime. But if you recall, we had all these huge accounts telling us we need the fourth is not good enough. We need a manager that will make us compete for titles, culture change. That's when we started hearing this. But in 2018, when my memory serves me right, because it's not a very great memory, guys. When Emery came on, the first thing they did was to ease out all the high wage earners, ease them out. And we began to see an attempt to cut the wage bill. When Emery drove us down to mid-table and Arteta came in, this whole notion that we needed a culture change took on a completely different tone. He was going to transform us. And this was within 6 months, if you recall, we got rid of the scouts. We got rid of the guy who used to do Connosaurus, that whole 9 yards. So wage cuts continued. And then we have entered into this new era, despite all the talk about culture change. Wage cuts has become almost institutionalized across Arsenal. What are we? Arteta is culture change? Kroenkes wage cuts? That I thought may be worth a discussion, because is this the bottom line? Is any of this making the club better? Is it making us win more games, score more goals, defend better? Is it winning us any new fans? The last transfer window perhaps is emblematic of the crossroads, and I'm kind of being dramatic here, that we've reached. Where has culture change or wage cuts taken us? And you wrote a lot, and you've spoken a lot of these the past year since you've been together with me and George about the mismanagement of contracts as they try to drive down wages. And perhaps you would like to give us an overview or details of how successful or how bad this wage cut drive has been. I'm open. You first, my friend.
Yeah. The thing about this, the wage bill. The first thing is it doesn't make any sense in football, in soccer. It doesn't make any sense. This is not an American sport where you have a cap, where you have where you know you have a certain cap that you cannot exceed, that you cannot go over. This is open. Your wage bill could be in billions. Nobody cares. The thing is, it has to be a successful business. This is the people um, on Twitter that they don't get this. The wage bill is a high bill. I get this, but the thing about it is, if you are more successful, you don't even look at it.
Right.
Somebody like Aubameyang or Ozil, they have a huge contract. This is 18 million a year. But if you start winning trophies, if you start getting to the top four, if you get into the Champions League, a champion getting into the Champions League gets you 35 million. Advancing past the group stages would get you another 8 million. Winning the whole thing would get you another 23, 24 million. The sponsors would pay you 60 million more to get this kind of thing. This is why players have bonuses. This is why when they say, okay, if we make it to the Champions League, KDB gets so and so. So this is the thing, is as long as you're successful, like Manchester United. Manchester United have a huge wage bill. They are the
Top.
highest wage bill of all time right now,
Yes.
and but they are looking at it because they have a huge revenue. What they want to do is they want to get successful, and the sponsor will keep coming in, and all these things gonna keep happening. So cutting the wage bill one way or another is meaningless. What makes the difference is how much you pay for the players, because this is not like in other sports. This is not like you don't trade players for players like in the NBA, for
Right.
example, or in the
Right.
NFL. You have to pay money for each player, and that's a huge sum of money. Somebody like Paris Saint-Germain, when they pay 360 million for Mbappe and Neymar, this is a big risk, because you don't know if they don't stay fit. This is a problem. Most There's another thing that I have to talk about is the insurance. People have injury insurance. Players have injury insurance that takes care of a part of the wages, but it never takes care of the price you paid for the player. The price you paid for the player is basically money you're losing. Um, if you buy a player for 200 million, give him a 5-year contract. At the end of the 5-year contract, the chances that he's gonna be worth the same 200 million are very, very, very slim. So the wage bill, all this care about the wage bill is useless. And the most you can cut it is by what, 20 million? You need to have 25 players. You need to have certain good players in certain good places, and unless you get and the thing is, the wage bill thing only lasts 2 to 3 years, because when you get somebody like Saka, who has like, he's get making 50,000, for example, and he becomes a star, you develop this kind of player.
Yes.
When the new contract kicks in, he's not going to take 50,000. He's not going to take 150,000. He's looking at 200 plus. So this wage bill thing is temporary, and it's just a shadow of things. We have a 16, 17 man squad today. If we fill it up to 25
The
and we
wage
get
bill
the
will go
right
back up.
players, it would go back up. And then what we going to talk about? If you go and get if you're gonna go and get a good striker, he's gonna cost you 200K a week. If you want to go, we now we don't have we have Eddie as a backup striker, and nobody likes Eddie nowadays. We need another center back after we sold all the people. If Saliba comes back after the success he's had, he's going to renegotiate his terms. So in a year, you have to pay him extra. You need another center midfielder if you want to get rid of Chaka in a couple of years, or Partey or Nenny. So you have to pay wages to those people.
So,
Uh,
so not to interrupt you,
Go ahead.
Ehab, but what you're saying to us is the pursuit of a low wage bill is a fool's errand.
Yep.
Aren't that what you're saying?
Yeah,
George, I
yeah.
need you to answer
It's
this.
nothing.
Come in here, let the audience know that you're around and have an opinion as usual. But that is an opinion. Ehab is saying trying to reduce the wage bill is a fool's errand. We've gotten rid of Ozil. We've not gotten rid of. Let's talk about Aubameyang. We've gotten rid of Aubameyang, who, by the way, Barcelona snapped up because they feel he can bang in goals. What is Arsenal doing here, George? Give us I saw you tweet something about Aubameyang. What is this a fool's errand trying to get rid of Aubameyang's wages?
Yes and no. I mean, whichever side, you can make an argument on both sides. What's ridiculous is that we took a player that we spent £100 million on in transfers and wages up to the point where he left. And not only did we not get anything for him because we couldn't sell him because we tanked his value completely by his treatment.
Right.
That we couldn't sell him, and we've had to pay him to go and pay for Barcelona, subsidise his wages. I mean, it's
Jesus
catastrophic.
Christ, George.
It's
Barcelona of all the clubs? Sorry, my friend. That appalls me. Subsidizing wages at Barcelona. Of course, I know they're in financial trouble. But keep going, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ridiculous. But on the other side, if he's not going to play at all and feature, you're better to save £25 million than spend it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, it was the right decision because we'd fucked it up. You know, you've done the right thing because you've done the wrong thing before. And that's where we are with Aubameyang. It was similar with Ozil. I mean, he was our best player and he didn't play. It cost us points, it cost us money, and then we gave him away and paid him £18 million to leave. I mean, outrageous when you think about it. But once again, you could say, well, he wasn't going to play him, so it was better to get him off the wages and get him from out of the dressing room because he would have been disruptive. Even if Ozil and Aubameyang conducted themselves perfectly, the fact is, all the players in the dressing room would know how good they are and think, why the fuck are they not playing? And that's disruptive.
Okay, you know, George.
If you were Smith Rowe and Odegaard or Saka, and you're looking, you're training with Mesut Ozil, and you're thinking, this guy's loads better than me. I mean, he's fantastic. Why is he not playing? How can he not get a game? It's disruptive.
Yeah, agree.
You're trying to tell somebody they're a star player. Emil, you're a star player. You're going to be brilliant. And he's looking across at Mesut Ozil doing things that he can't even dream of. He's thinking, am I? Now he's the big fish in the pond because you've got rid of Ozil. Now maybe Lacazette thinks he's the man because Aubameyang's gone. Mm-hmm. There's arguments on both sides, but the indisputable fact is it's cost the club tens of millions of pounds through bad management. Now, there's some inarguable facts that you have to establish first of all.
Yes.
Stan Kroenke owns 100% of the club. As far as we know, he doesn't take any money out of the club. So his goal is for Arsenal to increase in value to make his business successful, to make his asset more valuable. So he will do what he thinks is best to achieve that. Stan Kroenke isn't thinking, oh, I'm happy with 8th, I'm happy with 12th, you know, I'm happy in the Europa League. Stan Kroenke ideally would like to be top 4 and challenging for the title.
Correct.
That's what he would want, but that's what every club wants. You also have to look at the realistic economics, and there's a rule in economics, the law of diminishing returns.
Correct.
which basically says that there comes a point where you can invest and spend hugely for very small marginal gains.
Mhm.
And that applies to football just the same. So he'll be looking at, can he spend at the level of Chelsea, United, Manchester City, Liverpool? To catch them, how much does he have to spend? He has to spend as much as them to keep up with them, and then a bit more to catch up with them. And even then, he's not guaranteed of doing it. So you think any sensible businessman would think, well, maybe that shouldn't be our goal. Maybe we have to settle for the next level down,
which is
which is
mid table.
mid-table, maybe challenging for the Europa League. And if he can achieve that without spending, then he has to tailor his wage bill to that level that he's setting at. You can't be having Champions League level wage bill if you're coming eighth. That's unsustainable.
Yep.
So ideally, everybody wants to challenge for the top four and the title, but how much money does he have to spend to get him there and get us there?
Well,
And
George,
if he decides that it's too much because it's still a risk, then he won't do it. And I think this is what we're seeing. I think the wages are coming down to, I was trying to get the wages down to a level that reflects where he expects the club to finish consistently. I don't think he expects us to be top four anymore.
well, George, I made that point last last time we were together that I think he has mailed it in. He doesn't expect top four. But let's go back to Ehab. Ehab, do you? George made the point that there's a law of diminishing returns. It works both ways.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point in which you can drive down the wages and the returns are negligible because that is also economics.
Yeah,
And we have seen this, by the way. We've seen this in corporations that compete. They try, companies that decide to cut costs to the bone and try to
Mhm.
provide the same service and compete, and they fail and they disappear. And then we see their epitaph in the graveyard of companies called "Rest in Peace." Now, I'm not being dramatic, but does it work the same way for Arsenal? Because Kroenke has been cutting the wages, like I set it up, since Emery came in. Apparently, Wenger refused to do that. It seems
Yeah.
that's just my view. I'm dealing with facts. George says he is cutting the wages to suit just because there's a law of diminishing returns. But the problem in England is that there are other clubs that, because there's no wage cuts, there's no luxury tax, all of that bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't know what to call it, all of that stuff that they have in the franchise system in America. So aren't we seeing perhaps the negative here that we're not holding forth, but we are diminishing? I ask you because maybe I'm wrong here.
It's just the cutting the wage bill shows one thing. The if it shows one thing, it shows that we are planning to stay small. We are not planning to improve. We are planning a decade of bad ticket sales, bad interest, bad sponsorship. This is what we looking at. That we are not planning to
Stop,
get
stop,
top
stop,
four.
stop. Let me emphasize that I'm going to repeat this for the entire audience. Ehab says, George, let me bring up, I want to see the look on George. Let the audience see the look at, because I'm going back to Ehab. Ehab says, we are cutting the wages because we plan to stay small. We're going to come back to that. Come on, go ahead, Ehab.
Yeah, this is I talked about the wage bill is not being a big thing because the wage bill when Wenger was here, people are showing it at 100 million because
Do you
there's
want me to
the
bring your PDF up? Tell me when you want me to
no,
share.
this is the PDF is something else. It's when we talk about the wage bill, just cutting the wage bill has been like a smokescreen. It hasn't done anything because we wasted so much more. And this is why I made a small table about it. But anyway, This is the wage bill. When you say you cut him the wage bill, even if it's true, it's useless because people say that when Wenger was here, the wage bill was around 100 million. Actually, it was around 80, 70 something. But there are things when if we come back to this wage bill that people are talking about today, which is 87 million, if we come back to it in 5 years, it's going to be higher because there are bonuses, there is insurance, there's taxes that kick in after the contract expires. You know,
Wow.
the day of the expiration of the contract, they calculate all the add-ins and they divide it on the years. So this is why when you come back in 5 years, the 87 million is going to come up to like 109, 110. So let's say the dummy way of doing this, which is 87 million today. It used to be 106 or 104 when Wenger was here. So we're saving 15 million. But on the other side, we are losing money on players left and right. We are buying out players. We are, I mean, the 15 million a year is not significant savings whatsoever. Give me the 15 million and let's make the Champions League and we get 35 million just by getting in. You make 35 million, your ticket sales go up because people want to see you in the Champions League.
Yes.
So they're going to be sellouts every day. It's 2 million pounds per sellout. The ticket prices only without the concession stands and the gift shop and everything else. So it's going to come up. The match day earning is going to be up to like 2 million pounds a game. You have 3 games at home, so 6 million pounds. We get between sponsors, we get bonuses around 35 to 40 million if we make it into the Champions League.
So you're
So
saying that Ehab, you're saying that we have cut by what? From let's say 100 and something million, 20 million, 30 million,
we've got 20 million, and
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 you're
it
saying,
shows if we are planning to stay where we are for the next 5 or 6 years, maybe it's a sustainable idea to cut the wage bill. But if we're planning to get better, if we are really trying to improve, if we play spending 58 million on a center back and 50 million on a center midfielder, and we paying this much, we outspent everybody that's the summer, and to do that, it tells me that you are trying to go somewhere. When you spend 150 million or 135 million in the summer, it means that you're not planning to stay in seventh or eighth or ninth. You are looking to make top four.
well,
So to say, oh, I saved 15 million in a wage bill is bullshit, man. It
yeah,
doesn't mean anything.
Ehab, let me put that. Well, the whole policy is, I'm going to come to George. It is rife with contradictions. But what I picked up from you is that you're saying we saved 20 million on wages country to Wenger,
Yeah.
but we have lost, and I'm going to come to George. George, we have lost approximately from the figures that Ehab gave. You could easily argue we have lost 40 million in revenue from the Champions League, right? Just being the Champions League, 35 million.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the $2 million that we get at every game, because that place you cannot even get a ticket for a Champions League game unless
Sure.
you're playing some little, you're already qualified from the round of 16. You can't even get in. You're playing some dinky club from Europe. You can't don't even think about a ticket. You see what I'm saying, George? Isn't that the law? Your law of diminishing returns. You've saved 20 million there, but you're losing approximately $50 million over there. Plus, Ehab is saying you have other expenses when you get rid of players. Contradictions, George. Get me out of this.
Yeah, well, there's a few points there.
Yeah.
First of all, Ehab's putting forward the tried and tested speculate to accumulate theory. And of course, that's valid only if you're successful, though.
Yeah.
If you speculate and you're not successful,
You lose your money.
you're fucked.
yes, I know.
You're out of
Tell
business.
me about it, George.
I'll tell you this now. The bankruptcy courts are full of companies that have speculated to accumulate.
Correct.
And it didn't work.
Correct.
So if you let's look at something really basic. Let's
And the
say
football league, George, and the football league is
let-
littered
yeah,
with teams which have speculated to accumulate. Go ahead.
yeah. Let's say we start a company, Positively Arsenal Baked Beans Company,
Yes.
right? What level do I have to speculate to compete with Heinz? I can't do it.
There's
You know
no
what I mean?
chance.
They're the market leaders.
Yeah.
They can blow me out of the water. They can cut the prices. They can put me out of business. They can do what they fucking want,
Yeah.
right? So I speculate and I go out of business, right? I have to build my business slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And when people say you compete with these other clubs, these other firms, these other companies, they're market leaders for a reason, and all the power comes with it.
Correct.
Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United are market leaders for one reason and one reason only. They have more money to spend, right? So the only way you can speculate to accumulate is to outspend, match their spending, and then outspend them. Because every team that comes up and ousts one of the top teams doesn't just match the spending, they outspend them.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea came and blew everybody out the water, completely outspent them to get into the top four.
Including United.
Manchester City then took it to another level, completely outspent everybody in the world to get to a level.
Especially
So
Chelsea.
for us to get to that level, we would have to do the same thing. We would have to outspend everybody for maybe 2 or 3 years, including what wages we paid them and what wages we paid players to sit on the bench for. We just can't do it. And I think Kroenkes realizes that. And he's not going to attempt to do it.
So, George, you're saying then that he is satisfied, and I'm repeating myself.
He's not satisfied. He's not, because he's not satisfied. He wants to be winning.
Yes.
But he can't. Just like I can't start a baked beans company and become the market leader. I would want to be. I would do my best to be. But it's not going to happen. And I haven't got the investment to make it happen.
The contradiction is
that I tell you what, if I was Bill Gates or
Bezos,
right?
Yes.
When I started a baked beans company, I could become the market leader in baked beans because I have the money behind me to do it. I would have to spend billions to achieve what? Become the market leader in baked beans? What a stupid fucking business that would be.
Well,
because I'm never going to get my billions back. I'm never going to get them back. There's not that much money in baked beans. Well, there's not that much money in football either. So how much do you spend? How much do you want them to lose every year to get top four? Because they will. They'll lose a fortune. Absolute fortune. Hundreds of millions of pounds it'll cost them to ensure. No, of course, they can get lucky. They might do it one year. They might just speculate on the right players, like Liverpool did. They just happened on, let's say, the value that they've got as Salah and Mane. They bought them, and they've both been huge successes, and they've succeeded because of those two purchases. But what if they hadn't worked? They'd have still spent all that money, and they wouldn't have got back in the top four. How often have teams tried it and not succeeded? A lot more often than those that have tried it and succeeded. So I understand it. I do understand it. What's the end game for Kroenkes?
But that's my point, George. George, hang on a second there. I'm gonna ask Ehab that. What's the end game? Because George, I don't think you've answered the question. I don't think you have solved my problem. My problem is that we're still losing money with the decisions we have made. We are squandering money. And I'm going to turn that to Ehab. Where are we going? Go ahead, George. You want to say something before Ehab comes in?
Yeah, absolutely. We're squandering money. There's been terrible decisions made. Awful shit. I'm not saying they're doing the right thing. I'm saying that that's they're not prepared to spend madly, and they're trying to cut wages, and they're trying to save money here and there. I mean, for all the money that let's say I'll use Ehab's figures. We've saved £20 million on cutting the wages because of Ozil and Aubameyang.
Yes.
Well, we've lost 30 or 40 million because we didn't sell them for what they were
Correct.
worth.
Correct. And don't
So
forget we didn't sell
you've
Ramsey
already
either, George.
lost.
Don't
You've
forget,
already
George.
lost.
George, don't forget. People like to we didn't sell Ramsey when we could have gotten 40, 30 million pounds for him too. We let him go on a free. I mean, this is a debacle that started since 2018. Ehab, where is this leading? You hear George saying George is saying that he has decided that he's not going to speculate to accumulate. Yeah. Where is this going, in your opinion?
I kind of have to disagree a bit with George here because we have been spending. We average 170 million a year since Wenger left. I don't think that's much worse than the likes of City and Chelsea. Chelsea go out and spend 250 million. I think if you look at Chelsea's spending in the last 3 years, or Liverpool spending in the last 3 years, or City spending in the last 3 years, they're gonna top us by 150 million maximum. Um, we've wasted a lot more than that, and this is the PDF I did, Shotta.
You want me to bring it
Uh,
up?
you want to bring it up? Let's talk about it. Let's bring it up.
Let me see if it yeah, okay. Tell us what you're showing there.
Okay, what we're doing here is this is the facts. There's no speculation. If you add the speculation, it's going to be much higher. This is the players that have left, either on loan or been sold or been bought out since Arteta took over. Their salary, when the day they left what they were bought for. Have they been benched? Have they been, ousted? Have they been forced out? What was their market value when they were benched, when they were stopped from playing? And how much did we get back for selling them, or how much did we pay, buy them out for?
Okay, yeah,
The
because this is a lot of people listen to this on their phones while they're driving. Just tell us the bottom line, and send this to both me and George so we can publish it.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, but tell
I
us
sent it to
what
the
are
group.
the bottom line so that people who are listening, because I see you have a figure that we have wasted 137.10 million pounds. Well, tell it to the audience what you're saying.
The thing is, we have bought players for 210 million. I'm counting the ones that are on loan, so there are money that. Okay, so we have bought those players for 210 million. Their market value when Arteta came in and he started benching everybody, it was 236.8 million. Okay, this is the money we should have gotten back for them.
Yes.
We gotten minus 46 million for them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but we have like 4 players on loan, and there's no way you're gonna get 300 million for those 4 players who are Bellerin, Paolo Mari, Lucas Torreira, Matteo Guendouzi, and Maitland Niles. 5 players on loan, and there's a waste of the waste is basically the salary that we have given them since they started being benched, like what happened with Pablo Mari, or what happened with Ozil, and what happened with Aubameyang. We paid Aubameyang 2.8 million just to sit down the last month and a half. So this is based on the salary, how much we paid them since Arteta benched them and decided not to use them anymore, and the difference between how much we sold them for and how much they were worth at the time that we sold them. So we wasted around 137 million in 18 months on these players alone.
Wow.
This is not counting the devaluating of players, because I made a table of the devaluating of players, and it's not hypothetical because I I got the figures from Transfer Market, and but for the devaluating, but I didn't want to say it because people would say, "Oh, you're being too negative," blah blah blah, all this kind of bullshit. This is what's on this table is facts. Uh, we have taken out players who we used to pay 90 million in salary. We of course replaced them. We sent out Lucas Torreira and Matteo Guanduzzi. We bought Lokongo and Party.
Yeah.
So those players have been replaced. Kolasinac went out. Tavares came in. So the salary doesn't mean much. If you divide it, doesn't mean much because we replaced them. What we bought them for, the buyouts, all of this kind of things. The only positive we had on the on the selling are Joe Willock and Emi Martinez.
And we
Everybody
got a little
else,
something. We got a little something for Chambers, by the way. That's the only person who made any money on. But Ehab, I'm interrupting you because we really
yeah.
haven't even talked about culture change, and I don't think we're getting there. But your point is that we have wasted 137 million.
And we average 170. We've spent 550 million.
Yes.
So that's we're talking about 700 million spent in 3 years. That's 200.2 million, 220 million a year. Now, there's something that George talked about, and I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go back in time. Um, you had a system and a manager that knew was successful, tested and tried for 20 years, and you let him go because you wanted to go get forward, and you didn't want to get patient. We don't want to wait anymore. The time is now, blah blah blah, all this kind of bullshit. We cannot wait because the ticket sales are going down, the sponsors are leaving. So we I always say it. It's easier to get from second and third to first than from eighth. So this what we could have done. If you want to wait 3.5 years or 4 years, and now Arteta's telling us another 3 years. If you want to wait 6.5 years, and you want to spend 220 million per year for 3 or 4 years in a row, then why did you let the guy leave when he's the one that would have guaranteed that for you? Anything but guarantee, like anything short of guaranteeing winning trophies, Arsene Wenger would have done.
Well,
So
Ehab, I'm gonna go to George. We all know the answer to that. George, don't we? They felt that they knew better than the pro. The fans thought they knew better than a manager who has been managing football for 40 years. So where are we going?
As we think we know more than Mikel Arteta.
Well, and that is true. But George, they want us not to discuss this. We are. They don't want us to talk about this. So where are we going? Finally, George, Wage Cut FC. Is this going to? Is Stan's strategy going to work? And I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you time to speak about that.
Well, it'll work for him. Will it work for us in as much as will we be regular top four entrants? No, we won't. And I've said all along that I'm in favour of buying young talent and developing them. But there's never been a team ever in the history of football that has done that solely and succeeded. You always have to put in and buy top class players. You remember Manchester United? They go on about it endlessly, the class of 92. And you think, well, what about Teddy Sheringham, Dwight York, Andy Cole, Solskjaer, Veron, Cantona? They were all brought, Roy Keane. These were players that they bought in, top class players that they brought in and paid top wages to supplement the youth.
Yeah.
We seem to be wanting to try and do it with youth players, and that's it.
And journeymen.
And journeymen. It's just not going to happen. It just can't happen. It's never happened, and it won't happen. Mikel Arteta is not a genius. He might not be absolutely shite, but he's certainly not a genius. So he's not going to make the difference. He's not going to be able to do what no one in the history of management has done. Arsene Wenger come along and he played. He brought in top class players on good money, and we got success from that. He didn't develop youth when he came in. He didn't
That's true.
have a class of 92 at any point. He tried a youth project where he brought young talent, and to get what? To get top four, not to win the Premier League. And he
Right.
managed it, right?
Yeah.
He managed it. But he was a genius. He was a genius.
But
Arteta isn't. So, no. Will it work? It'll work as far as Kroenkes is concerned, that all he has to do is maintain or increase the value of the business. Football in the Premier League is so demanding, it's so wanted, that the value of the club will probably go up regardless of what he does. So all he has to do, in his mind, is not lose shitloads of money while he sits and waits for the value of the club to go up.
well,
So
George,
it'll work for him. It won't work for us. And everybody should just get used to the fact that we're not a top four club anymore. And we're not going to be anytime soon.
I concur with you on that. I think he mailed in top four. He when Arteta went over to him to see him 2 weeks ago, it was to agree on the strategy, not to go on. He blessed his strategy. He gave him his blessing. He went off to Dubai as happy as a lark. The big man is with him. Don't you think, Ehab? And Cut FC is going to remain despite the waste. Ehab,
Yeah.
your final thoughts on that?
My final thoughts are people have I don't want Arteta gone. It's not
But
the smart move because we've already we've taught them on our dime. He's learned so much and he's wasted so much to learn. And he's closer. He's like a year and a half closer to being a good manager. If you go to the to have a surgery, and a doctor pops in and he says, "I've been doing this for a year," you'd say, "Just get out." Go get me somebody who's been doing it for 20 years or something. I don't want you experimenting on me. But
yeah, by the way, I'm going to keep your thought. I've had several surgeries. George can attest to that. And I have dodged every non-expert. Every non-expert I have. I go to see the best. I'm sorry, I have insurance that can pay for it. Keep going. So I can attest to that, people.
it's
Nobody runs
everything.
experiments on me. I'm telling you. Keep going, yeah.
It's everything in life. You get a resume, a CV, and you look at it, and the first thing you look at how many years of experience. And he's and people make him out to be some kind of a genius who has this master plan, who knows what he's doing, and this is wrong, guys. I mean, just because we say this is not true, which is the fact that it's not true, nobody who's been doing this for a year and a half can be a genius at it. He's just learning, he's just figuring things out, and he himself needs to shed this off. He needs to unwrap himself from this cloak of genius that he has some master plan that nobody knows about. And this master plan just keeps expanding 3 years at a time. If he doesn't get the criticism, if he doesn't look at himself, if he keeps thinking he's right, if he thinks that losing 100 million plus 2.8 million on the wages plus 7 million on Aubameyang plus 70 million needed to replace him, and just because Aubameyang missed training, he thinks this is right, then he's never going to improve. If this keeps on happening, you have to be responsible. If this happened at any other company, if you made this mistake, they will make you pay for it.
Exactly.
When will Arteta take 107 million from his pocket and pay for what we done with Aubameyang? He's never gonna do it. I don't need the 1.7 million. I need the 70 million that we are going to buy a new guy with. You had a player, you had two youngsters under him, and you had two experienced great strikers, and you never developed the two strikers, and you blame the two strikers now. You blame Eddie and this Florian Balogan. You blame them, and you never got. It was the golden opportunity. If you don't like them from day one, it was the golden opportunity to buy somebody for 20, 25 million who's a young guy to learn from Obama and Lacazette. You didn't do that. You just now it's easier to blame them, and everybody on the fan base has to blame the players. Or now this is how it is. Now you are players in or players out. It used to be Wenger in or Wenger out. If you either like the players or hate the players. If you hate the players, you're a great Arsenal fan. If you like the players, you are not an Arsenal fan. And this is what it's come down to.
Well,
And the wage cut, as I said, it's not significant. It doesn't mean anything. We
but
have as you've seen in the file, and as you've seen by our spending, we are paying so much. We are wasting so much money, and we are if you factor in the devaluating of players that we bought and the devaluating of players that we have, then you'd see the loss is much bigger. And what we have to do is you cannot keep this going on. And this is happening because we are protecting the manager who has no plan. Those are
well,
amateurs.
Ehab, Ehab, it is
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. It is.
Ehab,
Look,
I'm going to, you know why I'm going to wrap this up. We went over our the other day. It cost us. but,
no, just give me
but let
one
me let
minute.
me let me put this in. Let me conclude this because we could go on
Okay,
further.
I want to conclude it. Okay.
Yeah, we are. George says it, and I don't think you're disputing it. We are going to be wage cut,
Yeah.
but we're going. You are saying that we're going to then pay because they're talking about 180 million pounds. Of course, it is all media, tabloid media speculation for the
Yeah.
next summer, and the 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 naive fans are thinking that they're going to be 180 million because we've saved on wages, which you say there's been a lot of waste. George says we're going to stick. We are being set for a mid-table top 16,
This which is raw logical, which is
which
what's
is
going on.
logical. That's what wage cut FC means.
We
And
are
I
we are
leave that
going
with
to
I
get.
leave that with the audience. Audience, we haven't even touched culture change, and we're gonna have to do that another time. But culture change has only been a justification for this policy. I don't think it's because culture change does not score goals. Like I said, culture change does not defend better. Culture change does not mean that you don't defame Ozil and Aubameyang on their way out. Culture change doesn't mean that you you loan players that you should have sold. Loan them, get rid of them on a free that you spend millions to acquire. So we'll have to get back to that, guys. Thank you very much for this. I hope the audience is growing. I hope we are providing some additional value. George, thank you very much. Ehab, thank you. Till we get again together. We don't have a game until the 12th, I think, against Wolves, or has that
Yeah.
game been rescheduled?
I think 12 is Burnley.
Burnley. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'll tell you that sometimes my brain just has too many things working on. George, so we have Burnley next, I think, or whatever. Anyway, we'll talk about that next time we get together. All right, guys. It's been good.
See
Okay.
ya.
All righty,
Thank you.
bye.